Jacob slammed the door of his beat-up Ford pickup, the engine still coughing like it had pneumonia, and stared at the glowing neon sign of the roadside bar flickering in the Nevada desert night. "You're nothing but a trailer trash queer." His father's words echoed in his head from that morning's blowout, the final straw that had him packing his bags and hitting the road. But as he stepped inside, locking eyes with the stranger at the bar, tall, with piercing blue eyes and a smile that cut through the smoke like a lighthouse beam, Jacob felt a spark ignite, one that would burn down everything he thought he knew about love and worth. The bar was called Dusty Trails, a dive joint off Highway 50, the loneliest road in America, where truckers and drifters nursed their regrets with cheap whiskey. Jacob slid onto a stool, ordering a beer to drown the ache in his chest. He'd driven 6 hours straight from Reno, fleeing the family ranch where his dad, a grizzled Vietnam vet named Earl, had finally disowned him. "No son of mine sucks dick," Earl had spat, right before Jacob's mom turned away, tears in her eyes but silent as always. At 28, Jacob was done pretending. He'd come out 2 years ago, but the rejection still hit like a freight train. That's when Benjamin noticed him. Ben was 30, a geologist from San Francisco, in Nevada for a field survey on seismic activity in the Great Basin. He had that city-polish neat beard, flannel shirt tucked into jeans, but his eyes held a quiet storm, like he'd seen his share of heartbreak. "Rough night?" Ben asked, sliding a fresh beer Jacob's way without waiting for an answer. Jacob chuckled bitterly. "You could say that. Just got kicked out of the only home I've ever known for being me." Ben leaned in, his voice low and warm. "Hey, man, family's overrated sometimes. I'm Ben, by the way. Benjamin Hayes, Jacob Ramirez." They shook hands, and something electric passed between them. Over the next few hours, as the bar emptied, they talked. Jacob shared stories of growing up on the ranch, herding cattle under endless skies, always feeling like an outsider. Ben opened up about his own coming out in college, how his conservative parents in Texas had cut him off, forcing him to build a life from scratch in the Bay Area. "I work for the USGS now," Ben said. "Mapping faults, predicting quakes. Steady, but lonely as hell. By closing time, they were the last ones there." Ben offered Jacob a ride to his motel, but it turned into more, a tentative kiss in the parking lot, under stars that seemed brighter than Jacob had ever seen. "Come with me tomorrow," Ben whispered. "I'm heading to a remote site near Lake Tahoe. Fresh air might clear your head." Jacob hesitated, but what did he have to lose? He nodded, and just like that, his life veered off the lonely road. The next morning, they drove up into the Sierra Nevada mountains, the air crisp with pine and promise. Ben's Jeep bounced along dirt roads, and Jacob felt a weight lifting. They hiked to a survey point, Ben explaining fault lines and tectonic plates with passion that made Jacob's heart race. "See this crack?" Ben pointed to a fissure in the rock. "It's small now, but pressure builds, and boom, everything shifts. Like us," Jacob thought. That night, in a tent under the Milky Way, they made love for the first time. It was tender, exploratory, Jacob's calloused hands tracing Ben's smooth back, their breaths sinking like they'd known each other forever. "You're more than enough," Ben murmured afterward, holding Jacob close. "Don't let anyone tell you different." But doubts crept in. Jacob had no degree, no prospects beyond ranch work. Ben was educated, successful. What could he offer? Still, over the next weeks, their fling turned serious. Jacob moved into Ben's San Francisco apartment, a cozy place in the Castro with views of the fog-shrouded bay. He got a job as a mechanic, fixing cars in a garage run by a grizzled old-timer named Mike, who didn't give a damn about who Jacob loved as long as he showed up on time. Life felt good: walks in Golden Gate Park, dinners at Hole-in-the-Wall Taquarius, lazy Sundays tangled in sheets. But cracks appeared. Ben's friends, a circle of urban professionals, eyed Jacob warily. At a dinner party, one guy, Ethan, a smug lawyer, quipped, "So, Jacob, what's it like trading cows for cable cars?" The table laughed, but Ben squeezed Jacob's hand under the table. Worse was Ben's family. When Ben invited Jacob to Thanksgiving in Texas, it imploded. Ben's mom, a Southern belle with a Bible in hand, pulled Ben aside. "He's not our kind, honey. Rough around the edges. And, well, you know." Ben defended Jacob, but the tension simmered. On the flight home, Ben was quiet. "They'll come around," he said, but Jacob saw the doubt. Then came the betrayal. One night, Jacob overheard Ben on the phone with Ethan. "Jacob's great, but sometimes I wonder if we're too different. He's got that small-town baggage." The words stabbed deep. Jacob confronted him, tears streaming. "Am I not good enough for your fancy life?" Ben pulled him into a hug. "No, babe, that's not it. I'm just scared. I love you." They made up, but the seed was planted. Jacob started pulling away, taking extra shifts at the garage, burying himself in work. Ben noticed, planning a romantic getaway to mend things, a cabin in Yosemite, where they could reconnect amid granite cliffs and sequoias. Little did they know, nature had other plans. A massive storm was brewing, one that would test everything. The drive to Yosemite was magical at first, winding through valleys painted gold with autumn leaves. Jacob gripped the wheel of Ben's Jeep, stealing glances at his lover, whose hand rested on Jacob's thigh. "This is going to be good for us," Ben said, smiling. Jacob nodded, pushing down the insecurities that had festered since that overheard call. Maybe Ben was right. Maybe love could bridge their worlds. They arrived at the cabin as dusk fell, a rustic A-frame nestled among towering pines. No cell service, no distractions, just them. That night, over a fire-cooked meal of steaks and wine, they talked honestly. "I feel like I'm dragging you down," Jacob admitted, staring into the flames. "Your friends see me as some hick." Ben cupped Jacob's face. "Screw them. You're the strongest person I know. Surviving that ranch, coming out on your terms, that's real courage." They kissed, the fire's warmth mirroring the heat between them. Making love on the bearskin rug felt like a renewal, bodies moving in perfect harmony, whispers of forever echoing in the night. But the next morning, the sky darkened ominously. A ranger stopped by, warning of an incoming storm. Flash floods possible in the valleys. "Stay high if you hike." Ben, ever the adventurer, suggested a short trail to a viewpoint. "One last hike before we hole up," Jacob agreed, packing rain gear. As they ascended, rain began, first a drizzle, then a torrent. The path turned to mud, streams swelling into rivers. Halfway up, a crack like thunder split the air. "Earthquake," Jacob yelled over the wind. Ben's eyes widened. No landslide. Rocks tumbled down the slope ahead, blocking the trail. They turned back, but the path below had washed out, a raging creek where dry ground had been. Panic set in. "We need to find higher ground," Ben shouted. They scrambled off-trail, hands linked, slipping on slick rocks. Jacob's ranch-honed instincts kicked in. He spotted a ledge, pulling Ben up just as a mudslide roared past. Soaked and shivering, they huddled under an overhang. "We'll wait it out," Jacob said, wrapping his jacket around Ben. Hours passed. The storm raged, lightning illuminating the chaos. Ben's phone, miraculously with a bar of signal, pinged an emergency alert. Massive flooding in Yosemite Valley. Roads out. Rescues underway. But they were miles from help. Then disaster struck. As they edged along the ledge seeking better shelter, Ben's foot slipped on loose gravel. He fell, tumbling down a steep embankment, crying out as he hit a tree. Jacob's heart stopped. "Ben!" Scrambling down, Jacob found Ben wedged against the trunk, leg twisted at an unnatural angle, face pale with pain. "I think it's broken," Ben gasped. Blood seeped from a gash on his forehead, but it wasn't life-threatening yet. Exposure was the real enemy in this cold. Jacob assessed. No way to carry Ben up. Storm worsening. "I have to go for help," he said, voice steady despite the terror. Ben grabbed his arm. "It's too dangerous. Stay with me. I can't lose you." Jacob kissed him fiercely. "I'll be back. Promise." Leaving Ben with the last energy bar and a makeshift splint from branches, Jacob plunged into the rain. The descent was hell, sliding down mud, crossing swollen streams that nearly swept him away. His mind raced. Memories of herding cattle through blizzards, fixing tractors in the dark. "You're nothing," his dad's voice taunted. But Ben's words countered. "You're the strongest." After what felt like eternity, Jacob reached a ranger station, bursting in drenched and wild-eyed. "My partner's hurt up on the trail. Broken leg. Possible hypothermia." The Rangers mobilized a team with radios, ropes, and a helicopter on standby if the weather cleared. But the chopper couldn't fly in the gale, so it was a ground rescue. Jacob insisted on leading them back, his knowledge of the terrain invaluable. "I know the shortcuts," he argued. As they hiked, one ranger, a burly guy named Tom, clapped Jacob's shoulder. "You're holding up like a pro, man." Back at the site, Ben was fading, lips blue. The team stabilized him, strapping him to a litter. Carrying him down was grueling, ropes over cliffs, fording floods. Jacob never left Ben's side, holding his hand, whispering encouragements. "Stay with me, babe. We're almost there." At the base, medics rushed Ben to an ambulance. Jacob rode with him to the hospital in Fresno, where doctors confirmed a fractured tibia, mild concussion, and hypothermia, but he'd recover. As Ben slept, Jacob sat vigil, exhaustion crashing over him. When Ben woke, his first words were, "You saved me." Jacob teared up. We saved each other, but the ordeal wasn't over. News of the rescue spread. Local papers called Jacob a hero. Ben's friends, including Ethan, called with apologies. "We misjudged you," Ethan said. Even Ben's parents flew in, meeting Jacob at the bedside. "Thank you for bringing our boy back." Ben's mom said, hugging him awkwardly. Jacob's family? Silence at first. Then, a call from his mom. Your dad saw it on TV. He's thinking. Healing took time. Ben in a cast. Jacob nursing bruises. Their bond deepened, forged in crisis. But shadows lingered, Jacob's insecurities, Ben's occasional doubts. One evening, as they watched the sunset from their apartment balcony, Ben turned serious. I need to tell you something. Before the trip, I was talking to Ethan about us. Not because I doubted you, but because I was afraid you'd leave me. You're so independent, Jacob. I felt like the weak one. Jacob stared. That's the betrayal? Your fear. Ben nodded. Stupid. I know. But true. Forgiveness came easy, sealed with a kiss. Yet, life threw another curve. Months later, spring bloomed in San Francisco, cherry blossoms drifting like snow. Ben was back on his feet, crutch-free, and their relationship stronger. Jacob had been promoted at the garage, even taking night classes in auto engineering. Proud of you, Ben said often, and Jacob started believing it. But the past reared up. Jacob's dad, Earl, suffered a heart attack back on the ranch. His mom called, voice trembling. He wants to see you, Jake. Before it's too late. Jacob flew to Reno alone. Ben offered to come, but Jacob needed to face this solo. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret. Earl looked frail, tubes snaking from his arms. Son, he rasped, eyes watery. Dad, Jacob stood rigid. I saw what you did in Yosemite. Hero stuff, Earl coughed. Made me think. I was wrong. About a lot. Jacob's walls cracked. You hurt me bad. I know. Fear. Mostly. Didn't understand. Earl reached out a shaky hand. Forgive an old fool? They talked for hours, halting, emotional. Jacob shared about Ben, the love that had saved him. Earl listened, nodding. Bring him next time. I'd like to meet the man who makes you happy. Back home. Jacob wept in Ben's arms. It's a start, Ben soothed. Life settled into a rhythm, weekends hiking, carefully now. Evenings cooking together, dreams of a future. Ben proposed one night in Golden Gate Park, under the same bridge where they'd shared their first deep conversation. Marry me, Jacob. Let's build something unbreakable. Jacob said yes, ring slipping on with tears and laughter. But conflict brewed elsewhere. At work, Ben's USGS team was monitoring increased seismic activity in California. Big one's coming, Ben worried. Jacob supported him, but tension mounted as Ben worked late, obsessed with data. Then, the betrayal hit like an aftershock. Jacob found texts on Ben's phone, from Ethan. Flirty ones. Miss our talks, one said. Remember that night in college? Confrontation exploded. Are you cheating? Jacob yelled. Ben paled. No, Ethan's just a friend. We hooked up once. Years ago. Before you. It's nothing. But you kept it secret. Jacob stormed out, driving aimlessly through the city, heart-shattering. Was he not enough? Again, he ended up at a bar in the Mission, drowning sorrows. A guy hit on him. Cute, but Jacob brushed him off. Loyalty ran deep. Ben found him hours later. I'm sorry. I should have told you. Ethan's been pushing boundaries, but I shut him down. You're the only one I want. Trust frayed, but love persisted. They sought counseling, unpacking baggage, Jacob's abandonment fears, Ben's need for validation. Sessions were raw, tears flowing, but healing. Summer brought the high point. Ben's team predicted a moderate quake near Los Angeles. Evacuations saved lives when it hit, magnitude 6.2. Minimal damage thanks to warnings. Ben was hailed as a key player, but he credited Jacob. Your strength inspires me. Their wedding was small friends. Ben's parents, warming to Jacob. Even Earl, frail but present. Vows exchanged on a cliff overlooking the Pacific. Waves crashing like applause. You showed me my worth, Jacob said. I vow to remind you of yours. Honeymoon in Hawaii beaches, luau's, passionate nights. But upon return, a call shattered the bliss. A massive wildfire raging in Northern California, threatening communities. Ben volunteered for relief efforts, mapping safe zones. Jacob joined him, using his mechanical skills to repair equipment. Amid smoke and chaos, they worked side by side, love shining through exhaustion. Then, the ultimate test. A child trapped in a collapsed cabin, fire closing in. Rescuers hesitated, the structure unstable. Jacob, remembering Yosemite, charged in. I've got this. He crawled through debris, finding the boy huddled under a table. Come on, kid. Let's get you out. Hoisting him, Jacob emerged as flames licked the walls. Cheers erupted. Ben pulled him close. My hero. Again. Media frenzy followed. Interviews. Headlines. Gay couple saves child in blaze. Jacob's story inspired many. Coming out tales. Overcoming prejudice. But fame brought backlash. Hate mail. Online trolls. Fags playing hero. One night, a brick through their window, scrawled with slurs. Fear gripped them. Maybe we should move, Ben suggested. Jacob stood firm. No. We fight. For us, for others. They advocated, speaking at LGBT events, sharing their journey. Earl, recovering, publicly supported them in a local paper. Proud of my son and his husband. As fall turned to winter, peace settled. They adopted a dog, a rescue mutt named Rocky, symbolizing their own salvations. Yet, one loose thread, Ethan. He apologized profusely, but Jacob sensed insincerity. Sure enough, at a holiday party, Ethan cornered Ben, drunk and confessing lingering feelings. Ben rebuffed him firmly. I'm married. Back off. But Ethan, spiteful, leaked old photos, Ben and him in college. Intimate. Scandal erupted. Ben's job scrutinized. Conservative colleagues whispered. Jacob raged. That bastard betrayed us. They weathered it. Support from true friends bolstering them. Ben kept his position. The leak backfired, painting Ethan as jealous. In the quiet aftermath, Jacob and Ben sat on their balcony, stars above. We've been through hell, Jacob said. And came out stronger, Ben replied. You're more than enough. You're everything. Years passed, their love a testament to resilience. By 35, Jacob had his engineering degree, starting a nonprofit fixing vehicles for low-income families. Ben advanced to lead USGS researcher, publishing papers on disaster prep. They bought a house in Oakland, modest, with a yard for Rocky and future dreams. But life, ever unpredictable, threw a curve. Ben was diagnosed with early-onset Parkinson's, tremors starting subtly, then worsening. Genetic fluke, the doctor said. Jacob's world tilted. Why us? Ben despaired one night, hands shaking as he tried to button his shirt. Jacob helped, kissing his knuckles. Because we can handle it. Together, they adapted meds, therapy, modifications. Jacob became caregiver, balancing work and love. Intimacy shifted, more emotional than physical, but deeper. Conflicts arose. Ben, frustrated, lashed out. I don't want your pity. It's not pity, it's love, Jacob countered. A low point, Ben, in pain, suggested separation. You deserve better. Someone whole, Jacob refused. You're my whole world. Seeking solace, they revisited Yosemite, carefully, with accessibility aids. At the same viewpoint, Ben in a wheelchair now, they watched the sunset. Remember our first trip? Ben asked. How could I forget? You fell for me, literally. They laughed, tears mixing. Inspiration struck. Jacob organized a rescue training program for LGBT youth, teaching survival skills, building confidence. You are enough, he told them, echoing Ben's words. Ben contributed, sharing Quake knowledge despite tremors. One teen, Alex, reminded Jacob of himself, outcast, tough exterior. My dad says I'm worthless, Alex confided. Jacob hugged him. Prove him wrong. Like I did. The program thrived, funded by donations post their media exposure. But betrayal lurked. A board member, closeted and envious, embezzled funds, framing Jacob. Investigation cleared him, but damage done, reputation tarnished temporarily. Why? Jacob asked the culprit. Jealousy. You have what I want. Love. Acceptance. Forgiveness came hard, but Jacob extended it. Get help. Find your path. As Ben's condition progressed, they cherished moments. Road trips in an adapted van, stargazing in Nevada deserts, revisiting Dusty Trails Bar, now a landmark for them. One crisp autumn, Ben's health declined sharply. Hospitalized, he held Jacob's hand. No regrets. You made me feel alive, Jacob sobbed. You saved me first. That night in the bar, friends rallied Ethan, reformed and apologetic, even visited. Earl, now in a wheelchair himself, flew in. You too taught me love knows no bounds. Ben passed peacefully, surrounded by love. Jacob was devastated, but not destroyed. At the funeral, he spoke. Ben showed me my worth. In his memory, live fully, love fiercely. Grief was a storm, but Jacob endured. He expanded the nonprofit, naming it Ben's Beacon. Youth flocked, stories of transformation pouring in. Years later, at 45, Jacob met someone new, Mark, a teacher volunteering at the program. Sparks flew, tentative at first. Ben would want you happy, friends said. Their romance bloomed slowly, walks with Rocky, shared meals. Mark understood loss, having lost a partner to cancer. High drama came when a massive quake hit San Francisco. Ben's predictions spot on. Jacob led rescue efforts, saving dozens, including Mark, trapped in rubble. In the aftermath, Jacob proposed to Mark atop a hill overlooking the rebuilt city. Life's short. Let's honor the past by embracing the future. Wedding was joyous, with Alex as best man. Earl walked Jacob down the aisle, proud. But the story's heart remained Ben. Jacob visited his grave often, whispering updates. You were right. I am enough. In quiet moments, Jacob reflected on the journey, from disowned drifter to hero, husband, healer. Love, in all its forms, had redeemed him. The rescue mission that revealed his true self wasn't just Yosemite or the quake. It was every day choosing love over fear, humanity over hate. Jacob's life with Mark was a new chapter, filled with quiet joys and shared purposes. They traveled New York for Pride, where Jacob spoke on panels about LGBT resilience in disasters. Love isn't weakness, he said. It's our greatest strength. Applause thundered, but Jacob's thoughts drifted to Ben, whose spirit fueled every word. Back home, the nonprofit grew. They built a center in Reno, near the old ranch, Full Circle. Earl, retired, volunteered, teaching basic mechanics to kids. Redeeming my sins, he joked, but Jacob saw the sincerity. One day, a young man named Tyler arrived, gay, homeless, echoing Jacob's past. Heard your story, Tyler said. Gives me hope. Jacob mentored him, watching Tyler bloom, getting a GED, a job, even coming out to his family with mixed results. Keep going, Jacob advised. Worth is internal. Mark supported it all, his steady presence a balm. Their love was different from Jacob and Ben's, less fiery, more grounded but no less profound. Nights curled on the couch, discussing books or planning hikes, felt like home. Yet, echoes of betrayal lingered. An ex-board member sued the nonprofit frivolously, dredging old embezzlement scars. Courts dismissed it, but stress took a toll. Mark held Jacob through panic attacks. We've got this. High emotion peaked during a national crisis. Hurricanes battering the Gulf Coast. Jacob mobilized teams, flying out to coordinate rescues. Amid flooded streets, he pulled families from rooftops, his Yosemite experience guiding him. One rescue stood out. A gay couple trapped in their attic, one injured. Hang on, Jacob yelled, lowering a harness. As he hoisted them to safety, one said, You're like that guy from the news years ago. Jacob smiled. That was me. And my husband. Back home, media dubbed him America's gay guardian. Interviews delved deep: childhood rejection, Ben's loss, finding love again. It's about humanity, Jacob emphasized. We all deserve saving. Personal climax came when Jacob's mom passed. At the funeral, Earl pulled him aside. She was proud, you know. Regretted not standing up sooner. Jacob nodded, forgiving fully. We all learn. With Mark, they adopted twin boys from foster care, victims of homophobic parents. Our family, Mark said, as the kids ran through the yard. Challenges arose: bullying at school, health scares, but love prevailed. Jacob taught the boys survival skills, echoing his program. Be kind, be brave. As Jacob aged, reflections deepened. 60. Retiring from active rescues, He wrote a memoir, Enough, A Life of Love and Survival. It became a bestseller, inspiring films and talks. In the epilogue, Jacob described the pivotal rescue, not the dramatic ones, but saving himself through Ben's love. He saw me when I couldn't. The book ended with a letter to Ben. You revealed who I was, a man worthy of love. Thank you. Mark read it, tears flowing. Beautiful. Their twilight years were serene, travels to national parks. Grandkids visiting, the twins had families now. Jacob's health waned, old injuries flaring, but Mark cared for him. Roles reversed. One evening, watching stars from their porch, Jacob said, If I go first, know you made me whole again. Mark kissed him. We're eternal. Jacob passed in his sleep, peaceful. At the memorial, stories poured, lives touched, loves kindled. Mark carried on, the nonprofit thriving. He visited Jacob's grave, beside Ben's. Together again, he whispered. The legacy endured. A world a bit kinder, thanks to one man's journey from not good enough to savior. In America's vast tapestry, their story wove threads of courage, reminding all, love conquers, humanity redeems.